Okay, so this is another video, and hi to all my friends and my fans, especially to Mr. Paulino. Today's questions come from him. I would like to address y'all and say today we'll be talking about the companion planning, introduction, and garden spacing. So there's a couple of key principles. And so first we'll talk about companion planting and root depth. Um, so for plants, as above, so below. The plants on top have an equal distant uh, root system underneath, such that this diameter of the branching parts of the plant have a similar function underneath in the root system, so that when you look at a mature lettuce, on the top you see this beautiful lettuce plant. That's a great lettuce plant. And then you see underneath about that much similar mass in its root system. So that's what we're going to start with talking about. So the first thing is when you have plants, you're going to have shallow rooted plants with root depth of like 2 to 6 inches or 12 inches. And then there's medium rooted plants that have like 12 inches to 24 inches. And then there's large roots that go much deeper, like your amaranth grain, your quinoa, your other plants that have a large branching pattern, like squashes. Squashes have the most amazing ability to grow roots from where their stalks touch the soil. So that's actually really interesting. So back on track. Shallow rooted plants go around bigger rooted plants. So we have your broccoli in the middle, and we have your strawberries or your lettuce around the perimeter. Okay? So the perimeter, you can go creating another big, 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 big hexagons. Think in terms of hexagons, because this is one way to get your grid down. You will need to have your hexagonal arrangement with your offsets. Your offsets are going to be like this. You see how I'm circling and circling? Okay, so that's a hexagonal root system spacing, so that the tallest or slash deepest rooted plants are interspaced here, here, here. You see? And then the other more shallow rooted plants are surrounding the deeper rooted plants. Okay, well, that was 4 minutes of awesome. Think hexagons, think grid, think shallow to deep rooted plants. Next, I'm going to actually do a site assessment or survey. And what that means is we are going to look at someone who maybe has a garden that has a 3-foot strip, okay? And then we're going to look at someone who has a 6-foot strip. And just for giggles and for simplicity, we're going to say these are squares. But really, we know that hexagons and circles, nature is amazing. You can plot anything, right? But let's start with the square. Let's start with the square and say this, that at the edge of your plot, you're going to have the side facing you and the side away from you. Okay? So depending on your solar axis, that's we're going to talk about last. But solar axis is coming across your plot, whatever direction. You just want the taller plants to be furthest from the sun and this arc. And you want the shallowest and the shortest plants to be closest to you so that when you're working the soil, you can reach over the short plants and get to your long plants. So that, let's look at this section back here. This wall is our fence, okay? And the solar axis comes across here. That's solar. What that means is these plants need to be the tall plants. Now, this goes against the arc perpendicular. That's fine. Wherever the arc of sun goes, that's fine. I'm just trying to illustrate the concept that you have put your furthest, tallest plants in your garden bed towards your furthest perimeter. And then you bring your other plants, your medium plants, you bring them at the second row in from the furthest. Now you're in your middle section. Your middle section has your broccoli, your squashes, unless you've, actually I meant to mention this, you can trellis squash. So if you have a trellis, or if you like, you can put a chain link fence at a very acute angle, and the squash will grow up that, and the fruit will hang below. So you can harvest it easily. That's getting up there. That's a little advanced, but we can talk. But the next thing I want to say is short-rooted plants. Short-rooted plants go closest to you, okay? So that's the most brief introduction of plant spacing, and just think in terms of your on-centers and think in terms of hexagonal grids. And thank you for joining me. Have a good day.